Neil deGrasse Tyson rated this movie as one of the most scientifically accurate science fiction films ever made. And I think that is a big factor in why this movie has really stayed the test of time. Welcome to the Skiffy and Fanny Show's Torture Cinema.
And then he just Superman's out of there on his fart rocket.
My brother and I were just like, at that point, we just lost it. We were like, come on. Like, any power he needs, he could just, like, imagine.
Look,
he just has it.
He envisioned a fart rocket, and he manifested it.
Of all the things he could have had, he could have gone out with that cool, like, red cape and, like, made it like a tornado and gone up. No, he had a green fart cloud. That's what he did.
The green fart rocket.
I'm Sean.
I'm Alex.
And on this, our third ever live Torture Cinema show on our brand new Skiffy and Fanny Twitch channel, which people are on at this exact moment, we will share what we're drinking and probably talk about random inappropriate things, which has probably already happened at this point, and discuss 1997's Spawn. This movie stars Michael Jai White, John Leguizamo, Martin Sheen, Teresa Randall, and D.B. Sweeney, among some others, some of whom you might have seen. Todd McFarlane makes an appearance. It is directed by Mark A.Z. Dippé? Dippy?
I think
Dippé. Okay, written by Alan B. McElroy and the director, and is based on the comic book character of the same name created by Todd McFarlane. This movie was chosen, by the way, by our listeners, who are bastards. They also gave us the theme that was the poll that from which this movie came from, which was basically devils and demons. And so I went and looked for some interesting options, and Spawn was one of them, and it won.
I mean, excellent. But before we get into all that, we'd like to remind you that we're also hosting a live show called SNF Clacks, in which we talk about recent happenings in the science fiction, fantasy, and horror universe and discuss your questions, which I guess we gave you a little preview with here, except I have not been on Clacks before, so you got it with me.
And also that part won't be on the podcast, so that's only for the live audience.
Suckers. Of course, for that to work, we need you, the lovely listener, to send us nifty questions and topics. So head on over to skiffyandfanty.com/listener suggestions to do just that. Live questions are also welcome.
Okay, so to get us started on the journey through Spawn 1997, we got to get to what we're drinking because a beverage is required, but it doesn't matter what kind of beverage. So Alex, what beverage are you drinking?
So I am drinking a Dr. Pepper Zero because I am sadly still in a status where I cannot have alcohol. So
fair.
I make up for it with caffeine and fake sugar. And what about you, Sean? I'm going to live vicariously through you.
I have a teal cup. That's teal, right? Is that teal? Is that color teal?
Teal or turquoise? Maybe?
Turquoise?
Yeah, I'd call it turquoise.
It's a bluish, almost not quite greenish. Like, look, I don't know. It's probably got like one of those like hex numbers or whatever.
I'm sure it does.
It has like letters and numbers and probably like an asterisk just to be fucking confusing. Anyway, the point is, inside this cup is, I guess, like a version of a vodka cranberry, because I don't know how much vodka, but there is some new Amsterdam vodka in here. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, an amount. You ever seen that TikTok of the lady that's like, we'll just put some vodka in, and she just like pours like a shitload in there? I'm making references nobody gets. Anyway, there's new Amsterdam vodka. I put a little bit of triple sec and some bitters in just for a little extra flavor, and then just a bunch of cranberry juice. I was gonna make a Spawn theme thing, but I have no Midori, so I couldn't make anything green.
You couldn't make the fart rocket.
I couldn't make a fart rocket. It'd just be a Midori sour with just a hard-boiled egg inside it. You wouldn't eat the egg. It's just there
there like a cocktail onion.
Fart rocket. Yeah, so anyway, so that's what I'm drinking. It's definitely gonna hit.
I think it already has.
I'm not drunk. Stop. Be nice. I actually probably won't be drunk. I'll be fine.
Sure you will, buddy.
Thanks for the vote of confidence. I really appreciate it.
I believe in you. Believe not contingent upon success.
Well, in any case, just for that, guess who gets to summarize this movie?
You.
No, it's not me. It's Alex. Alex gets to summarize the movie because you made fun of me
Okay.
for my alcohol
I
consumption.
mean, which is fine because I have a feeling I would have done it anyway, since if Becca were with us, Becca is very bad at summaries.
Fair. That's fair.
So, Spawn is the story of a guy named Al who is Al. His name is Al. He's Al Simmons, who is working as an assassin for A6, which is sort of like a nebulously governmental question mark agency that's kind of like the NSA maybe or something. I don't know. It's very unclear. It's headed by Martin Sheen, who spends all of his time chewing on the scenery and has a very thick neck in this, unusually so. Anyway, so everyone is like, Al is like a psychopath, and yet somehow he has like a wife and a dog and, you know, blows up some people at an airport and then feels bad about it and then decides he doesn't want to be an assassin anymore. So I guess he's not that much of a psychopath. But apparently Martin Sheen has been working with the CGI sprite from Doom that rules hell, who has sent John Leguizamo as a clown to Earth. More on that later, to recruit people. And when Al tries to leave, they're like, no, you're really good at killing people, so we want instead for you to lead the armies of hell because you're a psychopath. And Al's like, I'm not a psychopath. And they're like, haha, we're gonna murder you on this other thing for this unfathomable reason with this really bullshit like chemical weapons thing. That the reason I kept saying you should have Karina get on here is because she'd have some things to say and they'd be pretty fucking funny. But watching this movie with a biologist was an experience. So Martin Sheen and the lady who wears a lot of PVC to indicate that she's evil and sexy, but also very evil, murder him and then blow him up in a refinery that is unaccountably manufacturing biological weapons, despite the fact that it's a refinery
in North Korea.
So
maybe refinery means something different there.
I mean, it's you know, it's nice to know that some things never change, you know. And then he goes directly to hell, and 5 years later gets yeeted back onto Earth, where he no longer looks like hot Michael White Jai anymore. Michael Jai White anymore. He looks like a hard-boiled egg.
Did you say Michael White Jite?
No, I don't think so.
I think that's what
I mixed up Michael Jai White. Like, I mixed up the order his name's going.
I think you said Michael White Jite.
Michael Jai White. I am very sorry if I mispronounced his name, because he deserves better than this, because he's very hot. Anyway, he gets sent back to Earth as a burnt up hard-boiled egg, and then apparently the rest of the plot is like this really convoluted thing where the clown convinces Martin Sheen to get what looks like a Tamagotchi installed in his chest so that if his heart stops, it'll cause all the weapons to blow up. And then the clown tries to convince Spawn to kill Michael Sheen, while Michael Sheen is like trying to convince Spawn to lead the armies of hell, but they're all doing this by being giant assholes to him in a very unconvincing way. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then at the same time, there's like a former Spawn dude who has massive tuxedo mask energy, where he just kind of shows up and is like, my work here is done. And you're like, but you didn't do anything. Yeah. And he's like, everything depends on your decisions. We'll have a kind of stupid training montage. Go forth. And then they fight the CGI sprite from Doom in hell and beat him, and they beat the clown, and I don't know, something happens to Martin Sheen. Oh, he gets arrested. Whatever.
I guess, yeah.
And then Spawn lives on top of a church with his giant collection of guns.
As you do.
And his cape.
Yeah, his very, very large cape that defies physics.
It's a magic... The man rides a fart rocket. It's a magic cape.
I mean...
He can have a magic cape.
He rides many things. Like, can we talk about the fart rocket? Is that one of your dislikes?
No.
Or likes?
That's... I mean, I actually have quite a few likes. Because you have to understand, like, my history with this movie is... I saw it in the theater when it came out in 1997. And like, I distinctly, like, I even know which of my high school friends I must have gone and seen it with, and whose shitty car we drove there in. And I remember it being fucking cool. And the music was awesome because it had a Marilyn Manson track. And yeah.
Okay.
And I had very positive memories of it. But that is because now, having rewatched the movie 26 years later, because holy shit, this movie is 26 years old, I'm like,
So bad.
I obviously just came out of the theater and immediately wiped 85% of it from my brain.
Pretty easy to do.
And mostly it's because like I had forgotten that the clown even existed. Like I managed to wipe the entire existence of the horrible John Leguizamo, which I love John Leguizamo, but fuck that character, from my mind. I did not know he existed, and part of it is because I'm scared of clowns, probably. But I didn't even remember that was a thing. The only stuff I really truly remember from the movie was like at the time the credits were so fucking boss because they were so cool in 1997. The music was awesome and the cape was really neat. Like I also managed to completely forget that the devil is apparently a sprite from Doom with a massive underbite.
He does have a massive underbite. You're not wrong.
Yeah. And
how's that supposed to work?
And like a weird clown wig hair. I don't know. It's very strange.
How does he eat? Like when your underbite's
he's the
like
devil. He
this,
doesn't
like
need to eat. It's fine. Yeah.
like you can hold food in there, but like you just have to like kind of lift your head up and hope it rolled back your mouth.
I think he just like holds his mouth open and the lost souls just like kind of fall in.
I guess also he can just be a clown. So he can
no. Remember, the devil and the Violator are two different.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Okay. So we never see the devil guy actually become. His name is oh god, what is his name? It's Malaboglia.
It's
from Dante.
It's spelled like it looks like it's male bulge, which.
Bulge.
Yeah, it's Malabol or something, but they keep like everyone pronounces it in a different way.
Yeah.
But every time I saw it in the subtitles, I was just like, it's Malabulge. Okay.
Yeah. It's actually from Dante, by the way. Dante's the Divine Comedy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say, like, you know, on the scale of like the Violator when he goes into like demon mode, there's like the terrible CGI portions of him, but there are actually some parts where you can tell it's like a practical effects puppet, and that actually looks not bad.
The puppets are good. Yeah.
Like, I don't want to get too much into like dragging the shit out of the special effects because I will say
hold on.
For 97
they were pretty bad even for 97. This is the same decade that Jurassic Park came out in.
Yes, but I mean, basically, they just shouldn't have been trying to use that much CGI. They should have.
Oh no, they shouldn't have. This was a mistake.
It was not there yet.
No, it's really bad. Oh god, the CGI.
But I mean, I just feel like being like, wow, the CGI from 1997 looks like shit. You're like, yeah, no kidding. It's more of a surprise when it doesn't. That's like the low-hanging fruit.
I feel like for me, the visual quality of the film is mostly a problem because there are films from this same era that have some CG in them that you're like, yeah, it's not good, but like I can kind of ignore it. This one, my brother and I were sitting there going, like, this is like you thought you were doing something here. And
yeah, well, the problem is entirely they were trying to make like a Marvel movie, like, you know, where it's just nothing but green screen, right. 20 years too early.
At least, yeah.
Like if it just been like, you know, a little bit of CGI here and there and like, you know, like a shitty CGI helmet thing going on, that would have been fine. But instead, when they get yeeted into hell, like you have the male bulge who looks bad anyway, and like all of these like CGI environments where I was like, this looked like, you know, a video game from like, well, I mean, if the movie came out in 97, they were probably doing the CGI in like 95 or 96, and it looks like a video game from 1996. Like,
it looks like it, yeah. I mean, it does not age well visually. Like, there's some things that are cool. Like, they do have a real suit, the Spawn suit where the eyes glow green. I thought that was pretty cool looking. Like, when they do practical effects.
When it's the practical effects, it looks great.
I agree. With one exception, which would be the weird shielded Kawasaki.
Oh, the Spawn cycle.
The Spawn cycle, yeah.
Like I also had a vague memory of that scene, but I remember it being way cooler than it actually was, and instead I was like, God, this is deeply stupid.
Save it, because this is going to be a dislike for me.
Okay.
We're going to talk about how you choreograph action sequences, or in this case, not.
Well, and I don't understand how they could not, because Michael Jai White is actually like an action guy.
Yeah, right.
He's a martial artist.
He can punch people.
Yeah, he punches them real good.
He's really good at the punchings. Like, he's not so great at the acting part. Why isn't he punching more? I don't understand. To be fair, nobody in this movie is acting well. Even the people who can act. And then there are people where it's like, wow, you phoned it in. The only one in this movie that looks like they kind of tried is John Leguizamo. And it's just because I feel like he ad-libbed fucking everything on set.
I mean, I feel like John Leguizamo has like, he has been on an array, like, especially early in his career, because there were not a whole lot of great roles he was getting offered as a guy who was born in Colombia. And so he went into everything and he just fucking gave it his all. Like,
yeah.
When we were watching the movie and I was like, holy shit, that's John Leguizamo. Like, I actually looked at it because I didn't realize until I looked it up. And then Karina was like, oh yeah, isn't he like Italian or something? I was like, no, he's Latino.
Yeah, he does.
And I realized
a comedy
the
show
reason
about this.
she was like, oh, isn't he Italian? It's because the first movie she ever saw him in, he was fucking Luigi in the Mario Brothers movie.
That's right, because it's him and Bob Hoskins.
He's been in a lot of really bad movies, and I just feel like he's given it his all in everyone because he's just like, well, this is what I get, so.
Wait, have we ever done Super Mario Bros? I think we have.
Maybe I was not involved. If you have.
Oh, there's a great thing that I can do called Googling. I don't believe we ever have.
Oh dear. I mean, I feel, okay. You know what? Here. Next theme for the Torture Cinema poll: the John Leguizamo special. We love him, and we will watch him in a bad movie.
We've already seen a couple bad ones because we've seen now Spawn and The Happening, and he is in both of those.
Oh God. See, he just ends. This poor man. He just wants to make a living.
He does.
Why can't you give him a good movie?
Isn't he in like City of the Dead too, as well?
I have no idea. I just know he's an Ant-Man.
Is he an Ant-Man?
Oh wait, no, that's not him. That's not him.
No, that's
no.
Pena.
Yeah. I'm just very bad at names. No, what has he been in that?
I don't want. Look, don't feel too bad because when they were casting for this movie,
that's right. Okay, so the best movie he's ever been in is To Wong Foo. Thanks for Everything, Julie.
Oh yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that's a fun movie. Yeah, not as good as Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, but still pretty good.
Oh my God, that's right. So the most recent movie I saw him in was The Menu.
Oh,
and he's amazing in that.
So on the subject of actors, before we get into our likes, because we're going to start with likes because we have lots we can say about why this movie sucks. I do want to note that apparently they really did want a black actor for Spawn. Like there was no question because they considered, and I'm going to list off all the names that are listed here in the trivia. They considered Wesley Snipes, Cuba Gooding Jr., Snoop Dogg, Tony Todd, Alan Payne, Denzel Washington, Samuel L. Jackson, Ving Rhames, Tupac Shakur, LL Cool J, and Will Smith.
I mean, just imagine if Samuel L. Jackson had been in this.
That would have been great. He would have had to say motherfucking at some point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, be required.
I mean, so now the one fact that I did kind of learn that I thought was cool is so Spawn was actually the first superhero movie that had a black star.
Because Steel wasn't out yet.
Steel wasn't out yet, and Blade came out the next year.
Right? When did Steel come out? Hold the fort. Let's double check. Steel, 1990. It's the same year, so it must have come out later in the year.
Yeah.
And that's the one with Shaquille O'Neal, a movie we have also not watched that is also bad.
Well, I have not even heard of it, so there you go.
It's a DC character with Shaquille O'Neal as Steel. Look, I'm just gonna tell you right now, our Torture Cinema poll for next month is just gonna be bad superhero movies.
I might be busy next month.
Okay, there won't be that theme. It'll be on funny animals, I guess.
I was gonna say, what about John Leguizamo movies?
Well, because then I could do Super Mario Bros. On the list. I mean, to be fair, that one's gonna win.
I'm like, is there anything else that's like? Oh, he's also in John Wick.
That's a superhero show, but like we can't do that.
But actually good.
Yeah. Okay, well let's get to our likes. So Alex, what did you like about this movie?
So one of my likes is actually Spawn's cape, because I will say that if like I honestly do feel like if you just took it and like gave it a texture upgrade, it would actually still look really good.
It's fair.
Like it looked super fucking cool in 1997. I think part of the only reason it looks kind of now is just because like you're watching a movie that was not meant to be watched on an HD TV in HD,
That's fair.
which
Yeah.
odds will make a movie look like shit. So yeah, I think if you just like, put it through the, like washed it through something and just like gave it an updated texture, I think it'd look pretty cool.
His cape is kind of fun though. Like I wish he used it more.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I have a feeling the reason he didn't use it more was because they had to put a lot of resources into animating it. Because I mean,
Yeah.
also like a lot of the scenes where you see him using the cape, that is like they're taking just like fucking iconic Todd McFarlane panels and just putting them on screen, so it looks
Right.
really cool.
Right, because it's not like a cape where it has one shape and then it can only fold within that shape. It like expands and contracts and
Yeah.
moves. So it's almost like
It's
if you
way,
can make a puddle 3D.
yeah, it's way cooler than Doctor Strange's cape.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's just not entirely sentient.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like he controls it with his brain
Yeah.
or whatever.
And he can fly with it, which is kind of
Yes.
cool. So he can
And-
like tornado it and just go. Yeah. I mean, it'd be cooler if he just didn't fly around any other way. Like, why did my brother and I were sitting here watching the fart rocket and going, why didn't he just like have the cape just create a tornado?
Okay, so
and just
my bet on it is it would have cost too much to animate the cape doing that. So the fart rocket was easier because you just had to like streak a glow across your film.
you know what
that's-
has saved you money?
Not doing any of that, like not doing the stupid like CGI hell fight sequence. Yeah.
Yeah. You could save money. You didn't need to go down there. You could have just had Violator in the house violating things.
So anyway, that's my like.
I mean,
I
that
like
is
the
his
cape.
name. His name is Violator.
It is Violator.
And as is very important for the entire Spawn franchise. All of the other creatures that are similar to Violator all have V names. You ready for this list? So in addition to Violator, we have Vandalizer, Vaporizer, Vindicator, and Vacillator. Now, to be clear, John Leguizamo's Violator says that he's not the Vaporizer or the Vibrator.
It's true.
Which is important because I guess in hell vibrators are like they destroy people.
I mean, I'm still stuck on the vaporizer where I'm like, he makes sure the air is not too dry. How evil!
How evil! I mean, that's at least kind of useful.
I mean,
Whereas,
it keeps you from getting nosebleeds.
Yeah, I guess the vibrator would be like a form of, or like vacillator. Like,
I mean, technically speaking, like if you don't want to go like the sexual way with the vibrator, maybe he's involved in construction because you have to get like industrial vibrators to help set concrete.
Or he just shakes people to death. Is that how he does it?
Maybe, or maybe he gives you a really good massage.
He's like a giant Theragun. He's just, I'm the vibrator. You have no sore muscles.
Yes. I don't know.
Honestly, this sounds like a better hell. Like,
I mean,
if all
like
of
really,
the like
not,
okay, so
not
then
a
we
bad
got
place to go.
Vaporizer makes sure it's not too dry. Vandalizer, I mean, that's just the guy who does like spray paint art. That's all. He just does graffiti.
Yeah, and it's like the really cool graffiti murals. Like,
Yeah. So they call him Vandalizer because they're just bigoted. But like, yeah, okay. Violator, I suppose, is the only one of the five that Vindicator. I guess like
Vindicator. I mean that sounds like he's a public defender.
Yeah, like he's like your lawyer in hell.
Yeah, like he finds vindication for the wrongly accused.
Yeah, so just in case you accidentally got down there and you weren't supposed to be.
Yeah.
They make
so
sure.
I feel like Violator is really the odd one out, and maybe he just like double parks his van all the time.
Oh, so he just like violates the law. That's fair. Yeah, because I mean, what else would he do? That like the only thing he could do would be something very inappropriate. Like, is that like a kink? Is he like I am the violator, and like he just like services people's kinks in hell? If so, like, I mean, that's an important job.
I mean, I'm not opposed to the idea, but I don't want to visualize the clown doing that but maybe that's the kink he was currently servicing is.
Oh, that's a fair point. Yeah, maybe Michael Jai White is into clown.
Oh god. Saving it for dislikes.
No, I don't think so. I think we're fine. Yeah, it is kind of weird. Like, couldn't you have come up with words that were more obviously negative? Like I mean, I don't know about other V words, but
Well, I
like
think the problem is it's a V word that ends with OR.
right. Well, or ER. Any kind of sound. It's got an
Yeah, because I was
sound.
like, because vicious, but you can't have that
You could do viciouser.
the Verminator.
The Verminator. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know what you were thinking, Todd McFarlane, but I don't know. You need to work better on these names.
I mean, we've kind of come to the conclusion. I mean, I don't know how. I have not read a lot of Todd McFarlane comics, but I'm getting the idea that it's just conceptually something where it's more of visual storytelling, and we're not worrying about the words too much.
Oh, that's probably true. Yeah, he worries about words in his lawsuits. Yeah, he's had a few, to say the least. We'll probably get sued for this episode.
Really?
Yeah, very possible. Oh my God, there's a Becca. A Becca has arrived live on stream.
Again, I apologize for being late. I swear I set an alarm for that nap, and
Oh, Becca.
I also must swear that I turned it off.
Wow. Well, look, Becca is now here, so this is going to be a really weird Skiffy and Fandy podcast now. So we have just hit Alex's like,
which I did the synopsis. You're welcome. It was
Yeah,
not my
I
best. It
appreciate
was not
that
my
greatly.
best synopsis because I did not mention the nipple chains, but I thought I got the point across.
But anyway, Alex, your like, did we actually get to it? I don't think we did.
Yeah, no, we did. It was the cape.
Oh, it was the cape. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
No,
I'm moderately drunk. Whatever.
but the cape was also my like.
Well,
You
tough
snooze, you
shit, you're
lose.
late.
Literally.
Yeah, snooze, you
Let me see.
lose.
Let me look at my list. Did somebody take the? Shoot.
Alex is the
Did
only
somebody
one
take
who's
the
done it
dog
yet.
already?
No, Alex is the only one who's
I was
gone.
50% of the podcast.
We
until you got
started
here.
super late, partly because of me, but
So
mostly
good.
because of you. You
Yeah, that's fair.
you jerk, just ruining everything.
I'm so
You had
sorry.
one
The
job,
ruiner,
the ruiner,
but with a V, so it's ruiner.
the ruiner,
Maybe the vacuumer.
Instead of what?
There should be the-
the vacuumer.
I'll take the ruiner over whatever it was, like the penetrator or whatever. Like, this movie has some weird crap in it. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I think we all learned some things about Todd McFarlane that we didn't need to know, but that's okay because sharing is caring.
I'm sorry, the image in my head of the penetrator is just not right. It's a really inappropriate image.
I don't know if there's an image you could get out of that would be appropriate.
No,
Yeah,
it's
like-
really not right. The image in my head is really wrong.
So anyway, Becca, what's your like?
Well, since Alex took the cape, I did like the dog, Spaz.
Yes,
They could have given him a better name.
yeah.
But otherwise, the dog was a good character because the dog is the only one who recognizes him ever.
That's it. You just
It was. I mean, it was a dog. Do I need to elaborate a lot?
I would
It's a dog.
yes, I would like to hear your thesis as to why dogs automatically are good things in movies. Go on.
Because they're dogs.
You've gone to school. You know how to write an argument. Let's go. Because it was a dog is not the argument. The dog is
Very
good in the movie because it's a
tautological.
dog. That's literally circular. Becca, you know what a circular argument is? Fallacy.
logical.
That's a fallacy.
I'm sorry. I woke up 3 minutes ago. Anyways, dogs are good characters.
Yeah.
Therefore, if I like the dog, it's okay.
Still circular.
Yeah, I know.
Super circular reasoning. Would not hold up the
It's
scientific
a cute
scrutiny.
dog.
Yeah.
It's a cute dog.
I mean, it is. It's like a Benji dog. You don't know what Benji is because you were born after that movie came out, but go watch Benji. You'll understand.
but
It's about a cute dog that looks kind of like the dog in
I mean,
this.
I'll trust you.
Yeah. No, it's a good movie. It's a happy movie. It's for kids. This movie was not. This almost was a rated R
No,
movie.
This movie was not
Not for kids. No, I mean, he's got nipple chains for Christ's sake. Like, come on.
Ugh.
Okay, so you like the dog named Spaz.
I like the dog. I thought it was a good character. They use it as a good plot device. I enjoy the dog.
Gotcha. Okay. And the dog did live.
The dog did live, which I greatly
Yeah.
appreciated.
So if you go to
Yes.
doesthedogdie.com, you can find out whether that is true of this movie. The dog lives.
It's a
Yeah,
wonderful,
the dog
it's a
lives.
wonderful website.
Inexplicably, but he does live.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean,
if anything,
it is a very weird scene where it's like you're pretty sure that the violator has killed the dog because we have like the broken dog collar, and then
oh.
Spawn is like, "Here, kid, go bring my dog back to me. I don't care how you do it." And I'm like, "What is he gonna do? Like, dig it up out of a graveyard?" Like, what? But then he brings the dog back, and you
Yeah.
never find out from whence the dog came. So,
And he's got a new dad too, a dad forever known as Crispy.
yep.
Yeah, because he's been deep fried.
That was, yeah,
He has been.
that is a
Yeah,
thing.
he's been deep fried. I mean, if anything, if you put him in some panko, you might be able to get some tasty nuggets out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like cannibalism
So,
isn't
Sean.
immoral. Calm down. It's not.
Fun. What is your like?
Me?
Yeah,
Mine?
what about
Oh,
you?
mine.
Yeah, you have to do one.
Well, let's talk about this movie and all of the great things about it. I really think that I could have put as my like the fact that the plot is completely and utterly coherent, because that I think would be a very legitimate like, and usually one we don't put up for this show very often. But I won't choose that.
I mean,
one.
I like that Michael got a Tamagotchi implanted in his chest so he can release a virus that is actually a single folded protein instead of a virus.
It's so ridiculous. I could also talk about how scientifically accurate this is, which I think is really good. So there's this website you can go to that I think everybody should really go to. The long form of the name is does Neil deGrasse Tyson agree with it? But if you just take the first letter of those and then put .com, you'll get to the website. If you go there, you'll actually find out that Neil deGrasse Tyson rated this movie as one of the most scientifically accurate science fiction films ever made. And I think that is a big factor in why this movie has really stayed the test of time. Now, Alex, I know you watched the movie with someone with a biology degree, which I understand their bias because they've been educated in the American university system, and so they haven't really had the kind of
Dr. Fauci has definitely gotten to her.
no, there's nothing scientifically accurate about this movie, but I hope someone Googled that shit. Like, that would make me so happy. Anyway, no.
I was doing it on
I know you
stream.
were, and it makes me so happy because I saw you shake your head the moment you realized it wasn't real, and I was like, I fucking got her. Anyway, so seriously, a like that I actually like. I can't take the kid, but I can't take the dog because they've both been there. I will just say I appreciate very much that there's only one person in this movie who's legitimately trying, and that person is John Leguizamo. Now, whether or not it works is a different question, but John Leguizamo showed up every fucking scene. Like, he was trying to be a disgusting troll clown monster.
He earned his fucking paycheck.
Oh, he definitely did. Now, some people just showed up for a pay. Martin Sheen, 100% is just there because they were like, here's some money. I looked at the trivia. He's literally there because he wanted to make a comic book movie. It apparently was not important to him whether or not it was a good one, because this one ain't it.
I mean, to be fair, in 1997, such a thing as a good comic book movie that wasn't Tim Burton's Batman did not exist.
Pretty much. Yeah, there really wasn't. The closest you'd get would be maybe some of the Christopher Reeve Supermans, but only in the sense that they're tonally really good, but not.
Yeah, I mean, like, Spawn, when I saw it, part of what made it like, oh my god, holy shit, this is so cool, is because it was, you know, a dark and gritty superhero movie, and now I'm like super fucking over that. But at the time, when I was an edgy edgelord of a teenager who loved Marilyn Manson, it was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, once upon a time.
Mhm.
I just appreciate that John Leguizamo tried.
Yeah.
He really thought like, oh, I've got like, this role's important. I gotta really give it my all.
It was disgusting.
He is disgusting, and that's what he was going for. He wanted to be gross, and he is. He's disgusting. I don't want to meet this character. Violator? No. If he does he does a comedy special, or he was doing a comedy special show, which was like the history of like Latinos in America or whatever. I can't remember the exact title, which is really good. If he did this impression on that, I would be out immediately.
Oh yeah, no, you'd be like, nope, later.
No, I don't
do
need
it.
to know. He actually ate live waxworms on like a slice of pizza for this, and then promptly vomited it up.
I couldn't even look at the screen.
Yeah, it's nasty.
When that was going, like,
I feel like
that scene was so disgusting. I had to physically look away.
I just feel like, you get all these, like, like the fucking Jared Leto's and their bullshit, like, oh, I'm a method actor did it. Like, fuck you, man. You want to know who the hardest working actor in Hollywood is? John Leguizamo.
What's amazing is John Leguizamo mentions that he did in an interview described wearing this big, he calls it a fat suit, but like this clown suit. Yeah, it's a fat suit. It's a weird clown fat suit, right? He describes it as like a penis wearing a condom. Now, unlike one of the names you mentioned, Alex, John Leguizamo did not actually send any condoms to any other actors as far as I'm aware. John Leguizamo just showed up dressed in a condom, sometimes a condom that took an hour or more to get on. And so therefore, sometimes he wet himself while he was in there. But he just came on to be gross on set. And then when he was done, he stopped being gross. But other people who have done comic book characters have decided, you know what? I want to be gross also elsewhere. Jared Leto and your weird condom stories, you fucking weirdo.
Yeah, where it's just like, you know what? Let's talk about what real acting is.
Right.
John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo's actually pretty solid. He
is fucking solid.
He just doesn't always get the best roles.
Yeah, it was
the roles he gets, not his
distressing
fault.
role.
The man just
but no.
Let the man live.
Yeah, I really would like to see John Leguizamo do, like, he's overdue for like a new renaissance. That's what I'm saying. Like, casting.
I mean, like, if you have not watched The Menu, he's really good in The Menu.
Okay.
I've heard good things.
It is an excellent. Anyway,
but
polar opposite of this.
That's my like. There's not a lot I like about this movie. Like, some of the gothic like architecture they show is pretty cool, but
the stuff that is stolen directly from Todd McFarlane.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Comic panels.
There's some cool visuals, but I felt like John Leguizamo, you can just really tell that.
I mean,
he's trying.
I feel like
there was only one cool visual.
I feel like he came out of this movie. He must have come out of this fucking movie with like the ass and thighs of a Greek god, because he spent the entire, like, every scene he was squatting because he was trying to pretend he was short.
Right. And walking around in that awkward crab gait.
Yeah, and like walking around squatted down too. I was like, damn.
Wearing like 60 extra
You fucking
pounds.
Ruined your knees for this bullshit.
Yeah, no, there was only one visually impressive thing, and it was the cape, and that was it.
The cape is pretty cool.
It was the only CGI bit that I like.
So actually, I can add one more like one thing I genuinely liked about the plot of all things. So I actually was very charmed by the fact that, like, Al dies, gets sent to hell for 5 years. Wanda, like, understandably so, mourns and moves on, and then marries someone else.
Yeah.
And the guy she marries, who is his former partner, is actually not a bad guy.
Yeah.
I actually super appreciate it, because it's very typical in this kind of movie for it to be like, oh, he's secretly a dirtbag who's in cahoots so that, you can, like, fucking, take him out and get the woman back and, continue. But, like, the fact that they made this decision that it's like, yeah, he was kind of a weenie, but then when he found out what was really going on, he did the right thing, even at risk to himself and his family. And then that plays into the very badly acted, but Al moving on and letting go and being like, okay, Wanda has her own life now and her own family, and she, and I can let it go instead of just, like, obsessing over this lady person and having her be my motivation. So, like, that I actually really appreciated as a plot point.
Yeah.
Because that is just a rare trope in comics as well. Because, like, usually the main character will get the woman.
Yeah. Or they spend their entire time just, like, obsessing about the woman and being like, the guy's
gotta have her back. But it's like,
yeah.
Do you? It's been 5 years. I mean, it's sort of like Castaway does that a bit, but it's more tragic because when he finally gets rescued at the end, he finds out that, the person he loves has moved on, and it's like that sucks for him because that's part of what he was holding on to this whole time. But it doesn't go to the end and say, like, but, like, he's just going to keep holding on to it. And, like, she's bad for having moved on. It's more like, this sucks. Nobody's happy about this. But, like, you're alive, and so the next step is how do you move from this? So he has to do that task.
Mhm.
Now, to be fair, he also lost Wilson, and if you've ever had a
Rough.
volleyball as your best friend, that is really rough.
But it was kind of like
I
the
haven't seen
most,
that movie in so long.
the most almost, I guess, emotionally real thing in the movie.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
true.
So there we go. Hey, extra likes just for everybody.
Yeah, I will note that
I'm still sticking with the dog.
the dog's good. Whammus Samus in the chat has said that this is similar to what the Hunchback of Notre Dame did. The main character didn't get the girl, and it was refreshing. Although a little sad because I think the story wants to. It's been a while since I've seen that movie, but I seem to recall it suggesting that maybe they could. And I thought that the message of that was like he's a hunchback, so he's kind of gross, so she doesn't go with him. But maybe I misremember that movie.
I don't recall. It's been so
Well,
long.
look, I get it, Becca. You probably saw it like 4 years ago when you were 9.
Might have actually been.
Was that also 4 years ago?
No, it wasn't. It was many more than 4
Was it
years
over
ago.
a decade?
It was.
Well,
If
you're
I would
actually
say
having to
when I was
count.
9.
This tells me that you're that
Doing
close to
math.
that line.
I'm tired and I don't do math.
I'm not a math gay,
But
Sean.
hold on,
It was
Alex.
over a
Watch how quick
decade.
this works, Becca. Alex, has it been more than a decade since you were 9?
Yes.
That's not fair.
You know what?
That's
The linear
not fair.
progression of time is deeply unfair, bitch. But here we
Yes,
are.
it has been more than a decade. I'm just gonna,
I know it's been more than a decade, but
gonna hug my mic and
fact
cry.
that it took you a minute to think about it. Like, I knew immediately you're not 19. Like, but you're so close to 19 that you had to think about it for a second. Alex and I can just go immediately. Yeah, it's been more than a decade since I've been 20 years since I was 9, Becca. No.
Okay.
Shit. It's been 30 years. Holy shit. Oh my God, I'm so
Okay,
old.
see?
So okay, but this is the weird thing. So I could, I could look at Sean and say, "Has it been more than a decade since you were 9?" And you'd be like, "Yeah, no shit." But I could also be like, "Hey, were the 90s more than a decade ago?" And it would take you a minute.
No, it wouldn't.
See, for me, I'd be
Yes,
like,
but
"Yeah, it feels like it was only a decade ago."
I mean, it may feel like it definitely feels like it was
Yeah.
sooner than it was, but I know logically it
Mhm.
wasn't.
Like because like at a certain point, you're like, "Yeah, everything was like 10 years ago."
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, and then you think about it, and you're like, "Fuck!"
fuck no.
The linear progression of time.
Curses, it's got me
Oh
again.
God! Like when you think about it, like Barack Obama was elected more than a decade ago. That's how fucking old we are.
I don't like it.
My first election, y'all, was
Oh,
the
God.
second Bush election because I was barely too young to vote in the first one. So I got to have
Wow.
my first bit of real American disappointment with the 2004 election.
You're just starting out with the genuine experience.
When Miss Samus says, "You all sound like my mom." This thing happened the other day. I mean, a few years ago.
When you become a person of a certain age, it happens more than more, and then you're like, "Shit, I sound like my parents."
Oh gosh.
I was talking to my best friend a couple of weeks ago, and she was just like, "Hey, remember there was like those couple of years when we were kind of in high school, and our parents went from being boring people who talked about their interest rates to boring people who did nothing but talk about their health problems?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "We've become those people now." And I was like,
Oops.
"We're gonna have an entire conversation about like, oh, and these are the medications I'm on."
Oh, I got a little bit of time for that. Okay.
Not as much as you think.
No, I don't. But there's a reason why I like hit the gym 4 days a week, and I'm doing personal training right now. Like I was like, I'm staving this off as long as I fucking can. Becca, this shit's coming for you. Just you wait.
It's coming for you, baby.
You're gonna be one day. You're
Watch
gonna
out.
wake up and you're like, "Why the fuck does my back hurt?" And I'm gonna be like, "Yeah."
Oh, that's
I'm-
every day.
Oh, is that every day?
My back's
okay,
already,
so you're
my back's
already
already
30.
fucked.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's gotta suck to be you.
Mhm.
It's gonna be a rough. It's
buddy.
gonna be a rough 40s for you. Yeah.
Joy.
Sorry.
Anyway,
Moving
Anyway.
on.
moving on. Other than my supreme dislike about the linear progression of time and the natural breaking down of this meat suit that I exist in, what did we dislike about this movie?
Many things. We just like
Many
things
things.
about this movie. Go on, Becca.
I have a specific one. How the way that the suit comes out of his body in like strips and is animated to come out in like strips and cloth. Like, it's distressing to me greatly. And I also just didn't like the suit in general. It looked very weirdly fleshy, and it was distressing.
I feel like you're picking as a bug what is actually a feature from Sean's point of view.
I know it's like a whole thing about Spawn, but I still feel like they could have made it look better. But going off of that, I thought that the CGI in this entire movie, besides the cape, sucked. Especially Malboja.
I mean, we had an
Malbolge?
entire
Malbolge.
Malbolge.
Yeah.
We had it. I
Malbolge.
want you to know we had an entire discussion about that before you arrived.
Yeah. And we said we wouldn't rip on the CG of this time period because your elders
No, too bad.
didn't have a lot of technology to play with, Becca.
Well, but like the Violator thingy, it looked better than like most of the other things. So like you could have done something better with what you had.
You could actually do like an interesting thing through the movie where you could go frame by frame and be like, okay, this is where the animation budget went. This is where they ran out of money, because like there's the entire like fight scene at the end where they're in terrible, 1996 video game hell, where the Violator, who has up until that point had full reasonable textures when he's been like CGI rather than a practical effect, suddenly just becomes like this weird little smooth body, no texture thing that Spawn is kind of fighting. And you're just like, oh, this is when they either ran out of time or money or both.
Yeah.
Or how there were like 4 different types of soldiers and that was it. And some of them were like doing a little crab thing.
Wow, look at Becca being excited about the fact that like Lord of the Rings came out when she was like 9.
How old was I when Lord of the Rings came out? Let's look at that.
2001
Okay,
is the first movie.
I was
You're welcome.
5. No, 2003. I was 7.
You were
I was
7 years old.
Mhm.
Wow.
Turns to dust and blows away.
I was 7.
Yeah. So
And y'all went
like,
and saw that in theaters.
yeah,
Yes, I
we
did.
did.
And I got the giant souvenir cup that guaranteed that you would have to pee at least twice during the movie.
Yeah, well, and especially with that last one, it was like 3.5 hours long.
It had 4 different endings.
Yes, it did.
Mm.
Yeah, it's appropriate.
Um,
It should have 4 endings.
See, I got like I liked it, but I was just like, how many times does this movie need to fucking end? I'm gonna start crying out yellow tears. Please let me go.
Wow, so somebody was drinking Mountain Dew.
Giant souvenir.
Well,
cup
in
of
any
Mountain
case,
Dew.
the
Anyway.
CG is not great. That is a fair.
But that's why I
point.
started out with like the suit was the worst one, because I just don't like Spawn's suit in general.
You don't like fleshy, slightly moist
actually,
suits.
the other, yeah. So it's, I mean,
Hmm.
because other than like the animated stuff for like the hood coming up, like the suit itself was practical.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like the nipple chains were CG.
No, you didn't. Okay, no, hold on. The nipple chains were not CG. They were done with a very elaborate system of pulleys and wires. Yeah.
Attached to it.
No, I'm just kidding. They're totally
Yeah,
CG.
no, they were definitely CG.
Could you imagine being like having them come out of your nipple?
Okay, so I mean, I also I want to like call out the one thing that still fucking charms me about the suit is when like the evil lady in PVC tries to like kick him in the junk, and the belt loop comes out. It's just like and just stops her.
His belt protects his junk.
I was like, you know what? It's your suit already just responding to your mental desires without training.
But that also confirms to us that he still has a functioning male genitalia. Because why else would it protect
he's
that area
definitely
so
in a
much?
better position than Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah,
who had
it would be.
burned
Yeah,
off.
because Anakin Skywalker from like the belly button down is like just robot
Mhm.
now.
He's got a robo dog. Well, no, he had kids. Anakin Skywalker did have kids.
But after, but like
Oh.
before he became robot man, because he got burned up
okay.
and his leg was cut off, and like Anakin took his penis and like put it in like a hologram and like sent it to the space whales, right? Like in this movie, like he actually has junk. It's functioning. Don't ask questions. I've read Wikipedia. Okay, I know what happens. Okay,
There's some wild shit in the extended universe.
I may or may not have said a truth, but he does not have functioning junk as far as I know
Don't.
in Star Wars.
Yeah, he's got a robo dog.
Oh, he's have a Robodong?
I
Is that
assume.
confirmed?
No,
Good
no,
for
he's a
him.
Robo Ken doll.
He's a Robo Ken doll?
Ken doll.
Wait, do you just not want to think about Vader having
Does he still have sexual urges though? And he just isn't able to.
like,
This is
wait,
not a
he's
torture
Yeah.
cinema about Star Wars.
No. Now it is. It's 100% a torture cinema about Star Wars. I need to know. Did he actually have does he have functioning bits?
I mean, in my opinion, I think he does, but that's because I write fan fiction.
Do you think he uses them though?
Depending on the fanfics you read, yes.
Well, in the fanfics, yes, but I mean in canon. If he has like a Robo Dong, did he like test it out? You know, like
You know what? I have not read the entire Legacy Star Wars book, so,
So-
I could not
Oh,
tell
okay.
you.
He still has it.
Oh,
According
Becca
to
has found the
Google, he
answer.
still has it. Because they only took his legs off at the knees. He lacks legs, a hand, and an arm.
Do you think when he becomes half robot, he just becomes asexual? He lacks
No, I don't
any
think
of
it
that
works.
interest?
No, I don't think it works
I
that
doubt
way.
it works
It does
that
not
way.
work. Sexuality does not work that way. Now he might decide that he doesn't want to, get laid anymore because he can't have Padme because he loved her so much he fucking killed her.
I do appreciate that the first article says this question, of course, presumes that Anakin Skywalker had a humanoid shaft in the first place, which is no given.
Well, of course he had a humanoid. Why wouldn't he?
He is a special force baby. Maybe he impregnated Padme with special force things.
Do you mean that he just went at her belly and she just
No,
woke
he
up
did it
preggers?
like in Abraxas. Where he
I
Touched her
regret.
belly. Brr.
I'm beginning to regret waking up from that nap.
Wait, so if that's the case, then Jedi are extra dangerous because they could just run around making Jedi babies.
Well, could all Jedi, or is it just him because he's special? Remember, he's got so many midichlorians. Maybe he could just midichlorian.
Right. Yeah, his midichlorians are off the chart. They're even higher than Yoda's. And even Yoda can't do that.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Is that maybe part of the reason why Palpatine wants to keep him around? He's like, I could control who becomes Jedi.
No, because now we know Palpatine fucked and I'm so upset
Yeah.
about it.
I know
Palpatine
he did have kids. What the
Unfortunately.
Oh God.
I hate you so much, J.J. Abrams. Why?
It's bad. Lana Sama says they held hand one time and boom, a baby.
Yes.
Yes. That is Star
It's
Wars.
like the he looked at me and I was pregnant meme.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty close to it in Star Wars, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually kind of that's gotta be upsetting. You just oh, I met this Jedi once, and then the next day I was pregnant. Am I wrong? That would just be upsetting.
I mean, I would find it deeply upsetting.
Especially I would. I know I would if I woke up tomorrow after meeting a Jedi and they were like, "Oh, you're pregnant." I'm like, "How the fuck is that supposed to work? I don't even have a womb."
Ass babies. There's fan fiction for this.
Yeah.
No.
True,
I don't
true.
want no ass babies. That ain't happening. That shit is coming out of my body right quick. Minnesota still has abortion laws, so
I'm thinking more like a
fucking
chest
having that taken
burster.
care of. Oh no, even more so. Oh no, take that shit out.
That's where the little that's where Grogu came from.
It's a chest burster. It's just some poor traders went to some green desert or a green swamp planet and woke up there's fucking Grogu.
Well,
Oh,
there
God.
you have it. Yoda species is now chest bursters. Canon.
Created by the Force.
Mm-hmm.
Force chest bursters.
That's even worse than what I was originally worried about
You're welcome, citizen.
because you died.
You're welcome.
Whoa. Okay, well,
Oh,
anyway, so
dear.
let's
Oh my
get back
God.
to
Anyway,
dislikes.
so dislikes. We got
Alex, what do you dislike about this movie?
the fucking clown.
Yeah.
I mean, some of this is a personal thing that is playing into the dislike, but Becca, as I was telling Sean when we were originally talking about this movie, I saw this when it came out. I went and saw it in theaters, and yet all I remembered of it was the cape looking cool and the credits were really fucking cool for the time, asterisk. You look at the credits now and you're like, this is so fucking 90s, holy shit. And it had a really good soundtrack because that was the music I was into. And I had managed to forget the Violator existed because I think I was so fucking traumatized by his existence that I stepped out of the movie theater and just wiped it clean. It was gone.
Yeah. It was for your sanity.
Because I am scared of clowns, so I did not like that.
Same. It's terrifying. And the fact that the face makeup felt like a tattoo and not makeup
Yeah.
was distressing.
And I mean, all credit to John Leguizamo for being terrifying and disgusting, since apparently that is what they were paying him to do, and he was terrifying and disgusting. So, like, in that sense, it was a good performance. Thanks, I hate it.
Yeah, thank you for your time and effort. It was the worst.
You're the worst. And by the worst, I mean
Congratulations,
the best, the
you
worst.
accomplished the goal you set out to do.
I also
never again.
I mean, I understand that he was supposed to be like super, but like just all of the fat stuff and all of the I hated it. And I feel like, you know, maybe now we could have the terrifying and disgusting clown without the fat jokes. Could be kind of nice.
But I mean, we could just get rid of the clown motif altogether.
Yeah, that would be amazing. That was
happier.
I hated all of that. All of it. Just no thank you. Deeply unpleasant.
We can't get rid of the clown because that is kind of Spawn. The Violator is kind of known for its clownish look in its humanoid form.
Distressing.
Yeah, but
However,
without the fat, without the fat, and without the little person jokes, and without making poor John Leguizamo ruin his knees by waddling around crouched down the entire time, that was also quite distressing. And yeah, that's dislike so much, very strongly.
I mean, I feel like you could get rid of the fat jokes. You could make this, like, his whole thing is like he's kind of big and disgusting, but like that's also because the film doesn't do this. But it's really like because the Violator's like crammed into this for reasons I don't understand. This one body. And that's a lot of body to cram into like a humanoid form. So like you could just get rid of the fat jokes and just be like, the reason why he waddles around is like, yeah, because he's trying to look like I guess a human who's a clown.
You could do it. You think about like Men in Black.
Oh yeah.
In the Edgar suit.
Do the Edgar suit. Just make him kind of gross a little bit, but like not because he's fat. Like the reason he's gross is not because he's fat. It's because he eats like maggot pizzas and like keeps farting all the time. That's why he's gross.
Yeah, and I would say like if you had the, you know, like basically the Violator in an Edgar suit where it's not like, oh, look how big and fat he is, that makes the tone of him eating maggot pizza and farting all the time very different than if he's just like fat.
Yeah. He's gross because he eats things that we consider to be a little bit off. Or at least a little bit. We as in Americans, because like, let's be honest, like other cultures eat bugs, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like the farting and
maggot
eating.
cheese
is eating
a delicacy somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it wasn't even like, oh, you know, it was just it's a thing he took out of the trash, or it was like, I don't think anyone finds that acceptable.
And the sheer amount of maggots.
Yeah. I mean,
well,
I will say like
specifically, but
I don't know if it was a scripting choice or an acting choice, but one other thing I will give kudos to John Leguizamo for, even as I am like, please stop, God no, is it was weirdly funny every time, like in this movie, instead of saying the word ass, he would always say the word buttocks.
Yeah.
and I was just like, I don't know where this
is class.
Yeah. It's this moment of class. But I mean, when you see him and he's like being the fucking clown at Cyan's birthday party, and I was like, who hired this man?
Because he has whiskey and a cigarette. I'm like, how did he get hired?
At a kid's birthday party.
Right.
Like terrifying. Well, Karina saw him.
How did you look at the like front top row of his teeth?
Oh my God!
And say, yes, I'll hire you to be a clown at my child's birthday party.
Like,
they surely won't scar you for life.
The first time he fucking smiles and you see those teeth, Karina was like, oh, look.
The teeth are terrifying.
She was like, oh, look, it's like an AI generated smile in art.
Have you seen those? Have you seen like the women smiling AI generated art? It's like if the Violator, when his mouth opens and he extends it, it's like that shit. It's like horrifying. Their mouths open way too much. They're like smiling, but like screaming and also like roaring like they're gonna eat your face off at the same time. It's not normal.
I don't like it.
Do not give AI control of our systems. Don't do it. It's a bad move. We're
Okay.
heading straight to I have a mouth, but I must scream.
Yeah.
Like I have no mouth and I must scream. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, so like that is my most disliked dislike, just because I'm scared of clowns. I can also give like an actual dislike about how this was bad, because arguably there were many things about the clown that were good if one likes that sort of thing.
I think the best
It was
thing
a
about
solid
the
performance.
I think that it's the performance because I feel like my brother and I were wondering, and I couldn't find it in the trivia. It seems to me that John Leguizamo is like ad-libbing and like improvising basically more than anybody else in the film, who is like adhering to
Well, I
their
mean, he's the only one who's got lines that are actually like sound like a thing a human being, which, considering he's a fucking demon, is sure, but like an actual person would say.
yeah. Like he has like character in his lines. Like he's a disgusting monstrous clown person thing. And there's no question about that. But like other characters in the film are like they're just like reducible down to archetypes in a way that his isn't, which is weird to think about because his character is very gross. The jokes don't always land. Frankly, I don't know how they could because what he's working with is a bunch of wood cardboard figurines. But it's just one of those things where like if
He's
only
trying so hard and he's getting nothing.
because he's trying to be funny. He's trying to be like, oh, isn't it so funny how gross and like weird the things that I'm saying? But it's like, yeah, but like literally nobody else in the movie's funny. And so when you say funny things, they're not like Michael Jai White just looks at you with like the most serious face. And I understand that that's kind of what they were going for, but like it just like sucks all the joy out of any joke that John Leguizamo utters. Even if it's not a gross joke, like you're just like, oh, like he said something kind of clever there. And it's like, but it just like died on the vine because there's nothing to work off of. There's nothing for us to attach it to. It just feels like he's the only one trying and everybody else is just like there's a paycheck involved. I just need to be here and then leave. Now, in fairness to Michael Jai White, he is covered in one of the worst like burn victim unit facial goop, whatever that is, that mask that he has to wear. So he's probably actually not very comfortable. Counter, in fairness, probably neither is John Leguizamo as the fucking Violator because he's dressed in this giant fat suit, constantly hunching and squatting. He has to make his voice go blah, 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 and he has to eat like fucking mealworm pizza and shit. Like, yeah. Nana in the chat, by the way, was surprised by that they brought the Violator to the kid's birthday party. I would just note
distressing.
He didn't look like the regular Violator. He got little gussied up, but still gross.
Yeah, I mean, he was wearing a clown outfit, but he was still really disturbing.
With his whiskey and cigarettes. Oh, great. Well, okay,
Yep.
Is it me now?
It makes it you, unless you want another one
Yep.
from me.
Okay, great. So I think the thing that I dislike the most about this movie is the incoherentness of the plot. Like the main plot makes sense mostly. Like I get the idea, which is kind of what Alex you had presented in your summary. But the plot structure, like things just happen because they're supposed to happen to get us to the next thing, but they don't happen naturally. And the best way I could describe this is how Spawn's powers work. Because at the beginning, he doesn't really know that he has powers. Something weird's going on with his body. He kind of figures out he's got some powers. It does some things that are a little shocking. And there's clearly some room for, like, he's going to discover new stuff. But by about the midpoint of that process, it just becomes clear that Spawn's powers just happen if they're convenient for the plot. Does he need to be able to shoot big green laser things out of his body to melt bad guys? Okay, that's what we're going to give him for. That he does.
Does his cloak need to be able to disguise itself as a wall?
Conveniently, he can do that. Does he need to be able to use laser vision to see inside a body and retrieve the like weird virus bomb inside of Martin Sheen's body?
That? Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna yank the Tamagotchi out of. What the fuck was that?
It's just anytime he needs a power to do a thing, it doesn't need to be pre-established that he has that power. He just simply has it. This Spawn character operates very similar to how like Green Lantern operates, which is whatever he imagines the ring will more or less allow him to do. And so there's a limit to what he can do based on his imagination. The problem with Spawn is by the time we get that knowledge, because he meets with a Castaglio, Cagliostro.
Look,
Cagliostro.
every time I saw, I was just like, yeah, Cagliostro, your castle is really great.
Yeah, really nice cat. Yeah. So anytime he meets with him, right? Cagliostro, like by the time he meets with him, he's like, oh, Cagliostro says, you're like, oh, like your suit, you can like imagine it. But it's like, yeah, but up to this point, his suit has had clear limitations. He can do pretty big, flashy things and can do stuff, but it's not a thing where he can do literally anything he wants, whenever it's convenient for the plot. But as soon as things get more difficult, well, lasers come out of his body. He can do all of these crazy things. Like spikes can come out of him any direction he needs them to go. He can retrieve things from people's bodies without harming them. All this stuff, and
I did appreciate him spiking.
That was
the
fun.
Violator's mouth.
I mean, that was kind of
That's
fun
fine.
and kind of semi in line with what we'd seen him do before. It was just kind of a little bit more, but other things are just it's just like plot contrivance. And I find that very frustrating when you're watching and being like, how did we get from A to B? We only got there because the story needed us to. Not because it made sense, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the entire ridiculous plot of Violator being like, you should get a pacemaker thing installed so that if your heart stops, the stuff blows up so no one will kill you. And I was like, that literally only makes sense if everyone in the fucking world knows
Yes.
that you have that. And then Clown's big idea is, and then I'm going to get Spawn to kill him to make the thing blow up. But it's like, well, if he has to choose to do it, he's not really choosing to do it because you're like not telling him the full consequences of the actions, but whatever. And then at the same time, he's got like Martin Sheen is somehow supposed to be trying to get Spawn to agree to like join, like lead the armies of hell for reason. And I was like, this doesn't make any fucking sense.
Why don't they just get someone else?
Right?
Like, that's what I don't get is they pick him and then he's like, I want out. And then they're like, well, you can't leave this business, Sonny. And then they kill him.
But they have like thousands of other Spawn thingies.
Well, and
Right.
I mean, why not just like
pick
let
one?
the lady in the tight PVC pants be in charge? I don't know.
She would be great
She could-
because she'd
yeah.
actually want to do it because she's kind of banana pants
I mean, you can tell
Yeah.
she's evil because she plays with a tarantula.
for funsies.
Right? Like
Yeah.
immediately playing with a snake, and like immediately the guy stubs his cigarette out on, in a cigarette thing with two scorpions. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Like, what
strange.
is that?
We're really leaning into the arachnids are evil thing, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 100% what it's doing. But you're right. That's a perfect example, right? It makes total sense. She probably would voluntarily do it. Violator could show up and she'd be like, I'm in, make me a spawn monster. Let's go. Whereas he, like,
Give me power.
it's clear he doesn't want to do it because even the beginning, right, what the reason they kill him is that he doesn't want to be in anymore because he doesn't want to kill innocent people. He's fine with assassinating bad people, but they all say he's a psychopath, even though like he's only being called a psychopath because it's necessary for the plot again, not because anything we've been shown shows him to be a psychopath. The closest we get is he kills people, but like, okay, but then that's like saying like every member of the military is a psychopath, and
Yeah.
that's like, like that's
Well, and
not
it's
how that
especially
works.
like you start out and it's like he kills these people at this airport, and you're like, oh, maybe he's kind of a bad dude because that looks like a lot of collateral damage. And then literally the next thing you see is him being pissed off because there weren't supposed to be like these civilians there.
Civilians.
Right. He was told they were going to be only the baddies and he was going to kill only the baddies. And the response he gets is, in this business, collateral damage is basically inevitable, which fair point, probably true because he's basically doing like counterterrorism mercenary work. He's basically like, what is that name of that group that like worked in Iraq? The like mercenary group.
Oh, Blackwater.
Yeah. Blackwater. Like they're basically like super Blackwater.
Yeah.
But then that's why he leaves. He wants to leave on the grounds that he does. But like, then why would you assume he wants to be in charge of the armies? The only reason he says yes in the beginning is because he wants vengeance on the people who killed him.
Yeah.
And he wants to see
and
Wanda.
he wants to see
Right.
Wanda.
He wants his wife
That's it.
and he wants vengeance. Those are not great motivators for leading a hell army into the real world.
Yeah. All I can guess is Male Bulge is just really bad at, like, maybe that's why his armies have been stuck in hell for so long, because
Right. Yeah.
he's really bad at at finding I mean, obviously he's a terrible manager because Clown was so upset because he's been passed over for promotion so many times. He had the seniority. Instead, you went and found this candidate who's obviously not suited for the role.
Yeah.
The fact that he says, I have tenure.
Yes.
I cracked the fuck up.
Like, so by the way,
I have tenure.
I did find this quote from Leguizamo. It says, I gotta say Clown for some reason. Sorry, which of the villains he's played in his career is his favorite? Leguizamo confessed, I gotta say Clown for some reason because of the level of difficulty. I really wanted to make the comic book character come to life, and it was really difficult, but really fun. And I got to ad-lib a lot and make up all these lines. Mark Tappé, the director, and Todd McFarlane, I love him, and he gave me the leeway to do whatever I wanted, and I did whatever I wanted, and I had a blast. Yeah. It was so freeing to be that villainous and that crazy and ridiculous, and I don't know, I pushed it to the max. So yes, he was the only one in that film having a good time, apparently.
Yeah. Respect. Total respect.
Good for him.
Yeah. You got it when you're in this, because Michael Jai White apparently does not like this movie. He thinks it's garbage.
I don't blame him, because...
Yeah.
Also, kind of amazed that this got a sequel.
This? No, it didn't.
No, it didn't.
Did it not?
No. It was earmarked for 2 sequels.
They've been trying to make a sequel happen, and Todd McFarlane is like, I will not be involved in this.
Yeah. There's efforts to make a new Spawn something.
Oh, it was animated.
There's an animated thing, but that's not the same. Yeah.
I see.
A new Spawn something's been in the works for years, but like Todd McFarlane, I guess, is like a giant dick. So some of which might be justified about maintaining his rights and getting paid an appropriate amount of money, and some of it is just because he's a dick.
There are levels of dickness.
Well, I think we've got to our dislikes. I think it is time for us to start the process of grading, final thoughts, and then closing out. So, Alex, what are your final thoughts about this movie, and what grade would you give it? Go.
My final thoughts are like, it's not a good movie. It's not nearly like the worst movie I've seen for torture cinema. And I have some nostalgia for it because, again, I literally saw it when I was in high school. So there's some fondness. I wish to forget that the Violator exists, particularly in his clown form, because that will haunt me forever. Thanks, John Leguizamo. I both love and hate you. It was also deeply funny to watch it with Karina, who has been involved in like virology and stuff like that. And she was also just like, so, I mean, I actually honestly had a really good time just sitting there under my little heated blanket with the cat in my lap watching this kind of awful movie. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give it a C.
Whoa.
It was an okay way to spend 90. If it had been longer than 90 minutes, we'd be having a different conversation.
Well, there's a director's cut.
That's
Are you serious?
No, but Becca, it's 2 minutes longer. That's
2 minutes.
2 minutes of
extra footage.
Previously unseen. Oh, actually, Sean, we didn't even talk about like the dumb shit with the fucking Spawn cycle.
Oh my god, because
like,
it just falls over in the most pathetic way. Oh my god, and I forgot to mention I did have a dislike, which is like they don't know how to shoot action because they're all going like 15 miles an hour, but they're supposed to think it's so fast, and it's not.
I was just like, how is this motorcycle not able to out accelerate this fucking truck?
It's like a Kawasaki motorcycle, like, you know, from that 90s
with one dude on it.
He's going up against like a giant like oil tanker or whatever. How is he not able to just pass him?
Cannot go more than 40 miles an hour.
And the thing is, okay, so from the limited memories I have from seeing it in 1997, I remembered that moment of like the Spawn cycle, and the Spawn cycle looked so cool. And then I didn't remember what happened next, probably because it was so fucking disappointing. where it's like,
and it just like slowly falls over.
Yeah, where it like drives onto some liquid and falls over. And I was like, well, what is this?
It's like the most pathetic fall over though. Like it's not even just like it like careened and like really. No, it just went.
No, it just like. Slides another foot.
It's just so fucking fast.
It's not going fast.
It was terrible.
Like somebody storyboarded that.
Yeah.
And then they shot it. And they edited it into the film.
Well, they probably storyboarded like, oh, it's a high-speed chase. And then they filmed it at like 10 miles an hour. So when it finally falls, it's like it just goes and then it like slides for 8 feet because that's all the friction you need to slow a thing moving at 10 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's It's so bad.
If you're going to
It's
shoot
so bad.
action sequences, you need to make sure to shoot them at least reasonably near-ish a speed, which we could recognize as almost high speed at least. This,
Or I mean,
almost
shoot it in
dangerous.
such a way that it appears.
Right.
To,
Yeah.
to be
Mhm.
that.
I could almost run as fast as these vehicles are moving. I'm not saying I can run as fast because I can't. I could almost run as fast. And if I can almost run as fast as your action sequence is moving, that's bad news because I'm a chunky boy and I can't run very much. Keep in mind, I can squat like a motherfucker, but I cannot run for
Well,
shit.
good. You can play Cloud in the next movie.
Happily, call me up. I will fucking do it. I don't give a shit. I have no shame
Face
left.
makeup and everything.
Oh, 100%. I am gonna like lay out all these like awkward fucking dildo jokes. Like, let's go.
But you have to say buttocks.
I have to say buttocks, and of course, most of my scenes will be filmed in a hot topic.
Good luck.
Anyway, so I give it a C.
Becca, your turn. Go.
This was a very confusing movie. I didn't enjoy it. I've enjoyed this conversation much more than watching the experience of watching the actual movie. It did not age well at all. I'll give it a D- because it wasn't the worst, but I will never ever watch it again. Never.
Well, congratulations. The next torture cinema movie is Spawn,
Spawn,
1997.
That's right, all you woodchuck chuckers. It's Groundhog Day.
Never ending. Will Becca show up on time this time? Who knows?
We'll just send you a YouTube link that is like Spawn 1997 on a loop 100 hours.
I should do it just to be a dick.
I would rather die. Yeah, just put this as an option on the poll again.
Just to see what.
To see how many people
Just to
vote for
fucking
it.
troll them. Yeah, I should do it. I should
Jesus.
do it. Keep going. Okay, I'll get to my final thoughts. Look, this movie sucks.
It sucks.
Yeah,
So bad.
I remember liking it a lot more when I was young. I was wrong.
Yeah, I think in the text chat you were like, yeah, it's like a good superhero movie, whatever.
Wow,
No.
someone can't read my sarcasm.
No,
I have seen
definitely
this
not.
movie since I was a teenager. For
Oh,
the
you
record,
have?
yes, I have
Okay.
seen this movie like 5 or 6 times. Because every time I forget, this movie's not good. I would give this movie a D, which puts us pretty close to like a D-ish for the
Mhm.
grade. So that's it for the podcast, folks. So if you'd like to let us know what you thought about this episode or any previous episode, please go to skiffyandfanty.com/listener suggestions. Please follow us on Skiffy and Fanty on most social media sites, including Instagram, Mastodon, Twitter, etc. We have a link tree, which is linktree/Skiffy and Fanty. That's linktr.ee. You can subscribe to the newsletter at skiffyandfanty.com/newsletter. And if you like what we do, there are 2 places you can go to support us. One is leaving a review on iTunes or other pod catchy gizmos to let folks know that you like what we do. Patreon.com/skiffyandfanty is where you can financially support the show, which mostly goes towards paying for things like transcripts, hosting, etc. So there you go. For me, I'm at SeanDuke.net, Alphabet Streams on Twitch, where I stream Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central, and Patreon at patreon.com/The Joy Factory, and on various socials, usually at Sean Duke, although I sometimes have Grand Moff Duke because I'm a Star Wars dork. And all of those, Twitter, Mastodon, etc., are at linktree/Sean Duke. And then I do a project called The Histories at SeanDuke.net/The Histories, in case you're interested in that.
You can find me at BeccaE96 on Twitter, Dicey Druid on Twitch, and on a couch somewhere, reading comics while plotting world domination with my cat army.
All right, and you can find me at Katsadonbray on Twitter and Instagram. Not that I do much social media these days, and always on my website at katsadon.net, where you can find links to lots of free short stories, blog posts, and my newsletter.
Do it. Go get Alex's stuff. So perfect. I gotta make it awkward because it's required by the Skiffy and Fanny bylaws.
I mean, the male bulge was not awkward enough
no,
already.
no. That's pretty normal. I'm kind of
I
used.
keep thinking you're saying male bulge.
That is what we're saying.
That is what it looks like.
We're saying
I
male
just-
bulge.
I hate it.
Yeah. The
welcome.
devil, in case you didn't know, is named male bulge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to tell you, Becca. Like, I mean, of course the devil has toxic masculinity in his bulge. In any case, I know that we've talked a lot about male bulges, and I do have a male bulge, but that is not what we're going to be talking about for my awkwardness at the end of this episode, even though it's
Thank
sufficiently
God.
awkward now. I do want to note that if you do go to neildegrassetyson.com, you can get his scientific assessment of this movie. He gives it actually a B+. I checked while we were recording, mostly for its accuracy of stellar constellations, which I was really alarmed by because I didn't know that they were in this movie. But he says that they spell out the word spawn if you look really closely. I think that's really important. You know, Todd McFarlane probably was very, very brilliant about putting this together in this movie when he was working on his comics and having absolutely nothing to do with the script. So, Mail Bulge.
Mail bulge.
Mail Bulge.
Mail
You're
bulge.
welcome, citizens.
Yeah. And on that note, awkward ending and scene. If you want to support this show, you can go to patreon.com/skiffyandfanty or skiffyandfanty.com, our website, where you can get access to all of our fancy things. Our music comes from Holy Mole. You can support him and his work at patreon.com/holymole. Thank you for listening.